This message is about how God directs our steps or paths. And this is according to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your steps or your paths. And many times in my life, as I knew the Lord, or it could have been before. And of course, I have to use myself because I have many examples, and obviously I can't use other people as examples. So if this is narcissistic, I can't help it. But, just so people have an example of what God does. In my life, I always wanted like a true relationship with somebody. And, I had been through different internet relationships. I know what it's like having that long distance to where you want to see that person, and it just tears your heart out because you're unable to. And I recall one relationship I had when I first came to God, and it was with somebody from Seattle. And of course, I was at Bible College in Canada at the time, and we always wrote each other. We emailed. We didn't have a phone. This was way before like cell phones, the usage of cell phones. And so we had to use landline phones to talk, but I couldn't talk to her. So I was given this messaging system by somebody, and it was like a voicemail. So in order for me to send a message to her, I would say it in a greeting, my message, and then she would call and give her response. Well, that whole thing just didn't work out. I guess there was an age difference. And then she didn't want to tell her parents because she was afraid that we were going to be broke up, probably because of the age difference, which eventually that is what happened. And so, you think at that time that, we have God and we care about each other. Why should this pure love not continue? Well, I mean, there's many factors that weigh against it. And I didn't think of it at that time. I was young, I was immature, and really it would have never worked out. So it reminds me of that picture I had posted where it shows this little girl that wants her teddy bear. She's holding on to it. And Jesus is in front of her and he says, I have better for you. Well, behind him is a huge teddy bear, bigger than the one that she has, which tells us that God has good in store for us if we're willing to trust him. And so I look at just how God worked in my life. I wanted things, but they never worked out. And, it reminds me, what was it that Graham Cook said? Let me think about what he said. God allows in his wisdom what he easily can prevent by his power. And so God can easily move things our way, what we want to do. But what wisdom do we gain from that? What we have to be able to learn how faulty our decisions are so that it shows God's way as better. And it reminds me of that movie, Bruce Almighty, where he just thought that he would be a better God than God himself. And so he saw all these prayer requests coming in, and so he decided to answer all of the prayers a yes. So he saw how faulty that decision was, and God showed him that people don't know what they want. And it's true, we don't know what they want. I didn't know what I want at that time in that relationship. I didn't see the problematic areas. Number one, I was too young. I was in my 20s. She was a little bit younger than me. We were in separate states. How would that ever have worked out? And, you know, all these other factors as well that needed to be weighed in that I never considered. We don't consider things that we want. We don't realize the lack of wisdom in the things that we want. Only when we really seek God can we see just how his way is so much better. And so, look in your life and see like all the decisions that you have made and how God had intervened in your steps, things that he protected you from. My father, he was stern, but he was protective. There was, when I was like 18, 19, there were people my age across the street hanging out. He told me to come in because it was late. And I'm thinking to myself, man, can't I be my own person? Can't I do what I want? Why can't I hang out with them? Well, it was God's way of protecting me through my father. God used my father's sternness to protect me from outside influences, to keep me on the straight and narrow. And so God put my father in my life as a guardian through his sternness. It may have not been, all great, but it was a way of, transferring me into the arms of God, And so God had directed my steps, and just like he had directed your steps, look at how your life has turned out, and if you know God and you know the wisdom of everything that he brought you through, you can agree, everything God does is for a reason. Everything that God allows is for a reason. We may not, when we're going through hardship, understand that. But when the hardship passes, we look back and we can see the wisdom of such things. You really can't ask that of somebody when they're facing hardship and pain. But wait until time passes. And then when you seek God, you see his wisdom and how he has guided your steps. And I can look back and see how he has guided my steps, that he knew better than me and he knows better than you. So I just wanted to share that message with you.